Welcome back to the Channel 15 News. I'm here now with famous author of Comfort Me with Apples and Tender to the Bone. We're here to discuss her new book, Garlic and Sapphires, The Secret Life of a Critic in Disguise. And Ruth, how are you? Ruth Reichel.
I'm good, thank you. Glad to be here today.
Now, clearly you have taken your book into the truest sense and coming here today in a new disguise. Who are you disguised as here today?
Well, today I decided to try and relate to my audience a little bit and dress up as a college student who I like to call Jackie Hartle, senior at a small school, preferably in Southeast Ohio, or probably in Southeast Ohio. So, I thought that would be good to relate to my audience.
Very detailed, very detailed.
Oh yes, all of my characters are very detailed.
Now, in your book, you really do go above and beyond disguising yourself. Obviously, the book takes place when you were a critic at the New York Times.
Yes.
So what really inspired you to wear these disguises when you went to these restaurants?
It's actually a funny story. I was on an airplane ride from Los Angeles to New York right before I decided that I was going to take the job, and a woman on the plane approached me and said, she knew who I was, knew everything about me, knew that I was the new restaurant critic at the New York Times, and she told me that many of the restaurants in New York City were actually putting my picture up in kitchens and giving rewards to the employees if they were to recognize me, so that they could shower me with attention and make sure that my experience at the restaurants was 4-star worthy, I guess you could say.
Now, that had to be kind of awkward walking into a restaurant with a disguise. Did you find that was kind of true once you finally did it?
Yes, it was definitely awkward. I felt very strange dressing up in all these different wigs and costumes and makeup, and although I found that once I got into the restaurant and was interacting with the staff, I really became that person. It was actually a personal transformation for me. My voice would change, my attitude would change, and the way I acted towards the staff there would actually change as well. But I really wanted to try and get a feel for what these restaurants were like for my everyday reader who would be reading about these restaurants in the New York Times.
And when you were choosing these characters, you never really planned who they were going to be. You just kind of let it happen, didn't you?
Right. I kind of came up with a little background story for the characters, and then as I was in the restaurant, it would sort of take shape and flesh itself out a little bit more.
Uh-huh. And do you think, looking back, so you took on these new characters and you didn't really know who they were going to become until you finally did it. Do you think, looking back, that might have had a bit of a effect on how you reviewed some of these restaurants? Do you think you were fair in all of your reviews?
I can see how some people would wonder about that. However, I really do feel like I took the job very seriously and took a very professional approach to it. Yes, I would visit these restaurants dressed up, but I would also go multiple times to these different restaurants. I would go with different dining companions. Sometimes I went with my husband or brought my son, and that gave me some really good insight into the restaurants. I'd also do some really extensive research about the restaurants and the chefs and the buildings and such. And that would all factor into the critique. So I don't feel like my different disguises really affected my critiques in the end.
Now, transitioning a little bit, you left your job at the Los Angeles Times as an editor and critic there to come to the New York Times to be the renowned New York Times food or restaurant critic. Now, what really went into your decision? I'm sure that was a tough decision for you. What really ultimately sort of motivated you to take the job?
Well, honestly, I wasn't very motivated to take the job. I really dragged my feet and kind of tried my hardest for them to not offer me the job so that I could stay in sunny California in the warm weather. But in the end, they did offer me the job. They seemed to think I was perfect for it. And my husband was also very enthusiastic that I try something new and was very excited about the different opportunities that could open up to me through this job. So I ended up taking it and moving it to New York.
So what did you learn about yourself while you were working there at the New York Times?
Well, Derek, it's funny that you mentioned that. I was actually this morning, as I was getting ready, dressing up as Jackie Hartle, this 21-year-old college student, getting ready to go out into the uncertain real world, made me really think about what I would have liked to know at that age, and really what I learned at the New York Times that would help someone like her, and that would probably be stay true to yourself. Really don't lose sight of why you got into what you're doing with your life, and don't be afraid to take chances in your career.
Mhm. So you almost had to reinvent yourself.
I did reinvent myself. All the time I spent dressing up as these different characters and walking around acting like somebody completely different, it actually made me realize that I really had strayed from why I really got into the food business in the first place, and it helped me get back to what I really wanted to do.
So, regardless of all the good times you had at the New York Times, why did you finally leave? What factored in?
I realized that I kind of wanted to take a little different career path, and actually I am now editor-in-chief at Gourmet magazine, and that kind of opened up to me by chance. I wasn't planning on leaving the New York Times, it just happened, and it allowed me really to get back to what I really love doing, and that was cooking. And now that I'm editor-in-chief at Gourmet, I'm able to go home every night and cook dinner for my family.
Ruth, we want to thank you for joining us here today, and we wish you future success with your job as editor-in-chief of Gourmet magazine. But before you go, I want to ask, do you have any new disguises or characters in the works for any future projects?
Well, this is one. I am Terry Plant, a recent Marietta College graduate, working hard for her money at New Jersey 101.5. I don't have very many disguises in the works at the moment because I am just so happy being at home and being the editor for Gourmet and being able to come home and work and cook for my family every single night.
Well, I'm not sure how you did that. Ruth Reichel, everyone, a real master of disguise. Once again, Garlic and Sapphires, her new book, in stores now. So when we come back, more presentations from the Mass 430 capstone class and some delicious cake recipes for you to enjoy.